Well, straight to the top story this evening. With an eye on the upcoming Lok Sabha elections, the Union Cabinet has approved the reservation of up to 10% for economically backward upper castes and minorities. The reservation will be for central government jobs and educational institutions. Those with an income of up to 8 lakh rupees per annum will be eligible for the benefit. According to sources, the government will move a bill to amend the Articles 15 and 16 of the Constitution to implement the 10% reservation for economically weaker sections in the general category. The Constitution right now permits reservation only up to 50%. Rituparna Bhuyan joins us now with the details. Ritu, last day of Parliament tomorrow, 90 days before the elections, and the government decides to move a bill that will require a constitutional amendment.
Absolutely. So this is an income-based criteria which is being proposed through this constitutional amendment through which 8 lakh per annum or less such families will be allowed to basically apply for this reservation. But there are 4 other criteria as well, and those are even if you fall within that bracket, and that is 8 lakh per annum or less income. But you own 5 acres of land and above, or a residential flat of 100 square feet and above, or a residential plot of 100 yards and above in notified municipalities, or a residential plot of 200 yards and above in areas other than the notified municipalities, then you will not be able to apply. Now, the process for a constitutional amendment, is that you can table it at any point of time, but for the passage, there has to be a certain amount of quorum in the House, and secondly, it has to be passed by 3/4 majority. Now, will the government just table it, or will it be pushing for passage of this constitutional amendment? That we will get to know tomorrow. Remember that tomorrow is the last day of the winter session, and hence it will be interesting to see if the government actually pushes for passage of this constitutional amendment. Remember that this then has to be sent to Rajya Sabha as well for passage. With that, it's back to you.
We will continue to support every such step that provides opportunities as also employment to the economically poor sections of the society.
ये तो आपको मालूम है कि 50 सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट है कि 50% के बियॉन्ड नहीं आ सकते हैं, तो इसलिए जरा उनका देख तो लें कि कहां से किस तरह का संशोधन ला।
आर्थिक स्थिति सुधारने के लिए आरक्षण नहीं है। आर्थिक स्थिति से अगर उसको ठीक करना था तो नरेंद्र मोदी जी को बोलते ना, भाई 15-15 लाख रुपए हर एक के खाते में डाल दीजिए, हर देश के हर लोगों को मिल जाता और 2 करोड़ नौजवानों को रोजगार दे देते।
नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने कहा था कि देश का विकास 56 इंच के सीने वाला ही कर सकता है, और उस 56 इंच के सीने वाले ने इस देश के विकास करके बता दिया कि अपना हित मत सोचो, सबका साथ और सबका विकास सोचो।
This government at the fag end of its tenure trying to do whatever it wants to do to promote its own agenda, हिंदुत्व एजेंडा।
पूर्व बनाने की बात जानते हैं, 50% ज्यादा आरक्षण होने चाहिए।
संवैधानिक संशोधन करेंगे,
संविधान में संशोधन करें, कैसे हो जाएगा संविधान में संशोधन?
कहा जा रहा है कल ही आएगा राज्यसभा और लोकसभा।
चलिए आने दो यार, कुछ अभी है उसे तो कर नहीं पा रहे।
कितना ही शीर्षासन कर लें, कितने ही जुमले गढ़ लें, अब मोदी जी को कोई भी आसन जो है पदच्युत होने से नहीं बचा सकता है।
मुझे खुशी है कि हमारी आज की सरकार ने कम से कम ये फैसला लिया। अब मुझे नहीं लगता कि इस पे कोई राजनीति होनी चाहिए, कम से कम इस फैसले की इसकी शुरुआत हुई है।
एसटी, एससी और ओबीसी के सामने एक सवर्णों का एक मोर्चा तैयार करने का एक राजनीतिक साजिश है।
विशेष सत्र बुलाए सरकार, हम सरकार का साथ देंगे और फिर सभी पार्टियों का समर्थन जुटाकर इस बिल को पास कराया जाए।
We have to abolish caste system as a matter of fact. We are for that. If any person who is economically backward is being supported with the help by the government, it must be welcome. There's no doubt on that at all.
In my opinion, I would object to it, saying that Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Muslims, Christians, they are not entitled to reservation because they were ruling class.
ये मैं समझता हूँ कि सरकार का निर्णय जो है गलत निर्णय है।
सामान्य वर्ग को न्याय देने के लिए 10% आरक्षण देने का जो फैसला किया है, मैं इसका हृदय से स्वागत करता हूँ।
Well, several unanswered questions on how this will be executed and what the mechanics will be of this 10% reservation that has been given the nod by the government today. Remember, the BJP has now issued a 3-line whip, so they are hoping for the passage of the bill tomorrow itself. Interesting, no discussion, no debate on something as major as this. The government expects the Indian economy to grow at 7.2% in the current financial year, this compared with 6.7% in FY18. However, the CSO's advance estimate figure is lower than the RBI's estimate of 7.4%. The Chief Statistics Office put the overall growth rate under 5 years of the Modi government at 7.3%. Lata joins us now with details. Lata, it is a sobering number, isn't it?
Yes, it indeed is. And it is sobering not only because it's lower than what the Reserve Bank had calculated at 7.4%. The 7.2 is made up of a 7.6% first half growth, which we already know. That was 7.6 because the year ago base was very low. If you have 7.6 for the first half, to get a full year of 7.2, you have to be reporting 6.8% on an average for third and fourth quarter. Chances are it would be maybe closer to 7% in the third quarter and closer to 6.5% in the fourth quarter. So that is the sobering fact, that third and fourth quarters have genuinely slowed. We have not even reached the 7% mark. Let's look at the composition. First, the heartening ones. The heartening ones are the gross fixed capital formation. That has been forecast at 12.2%, a double-digit growth compared to 7.6. At least that holds some promise for the year to come if capital formation itself is increasing. But the good news is just that. And the last line, as you can see, exports up 12.1% compared to 5.6. That's good going. But the sobering number are the consumption numbers. Private consumption already last year at 6.6 was nothing to write home about, is falling to 6.4%. And government expenditure also falling to 9.2 from 10. Quite clearly, government capex, etc., are going to be cut. That's what is getting factored in over here because the tax returns have been bad. This is looking at GDP from the expenditure side. Let's look at it from the output side. Agriculture has not done too badly at 3.8%. But, construction and manufacturing certainly is something to boast in terms of Make in India. 8.9% in construction, good compared to 5.7%. And likewise, manufacturing at 8.3%. You cannot ignore, of course, both of them have done well because of a terrible base effect. But nevertheless, it's a good number to go with. The bad performance is in the services. And that's sad because 60% of India is employed in the services sector. And there, as you can see, in every metric, it's done poorly. 8% of last year in trade, hotels, transport and communication is now slowed to 6.9%. Finance is more or less the same at 6.8%. The last quarter, the bank deposits and, more importantly, advances growth has picked up, and that's why 6.8%. Public administration, usually health, education, stuff like that. Also lower because last year, perhaps the finance, the pay commission numbers had pushed up the public administration. That is also sobered now by about 100 basis points. So overall, the sad part is agriculture at 3.8. I just wanted to add this point. Even if you looked at the nominal, that is, this is at constant prices, agriculture, even at current prices, is only grown by 3.8, indicating that there has been no increase in prices. Given that kind of an agriculture or a rural scenario, clearly consumption has not fired. And it looks like a part of this will hang over to the next year as well. Usually in times of political uncertainty, you shouldn't expect too much of capex. As well, there is a large base. The first half of this year is 7.6. That will be the base for next year. So looks like the first half of FY20 also is going to be a sobering 2 quarters.
All right, Lata, thanks very much for breaking up the GDP internals for us. That's the data being put out by the CSO. Now, RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das says the RBI would not like a situation of loose liquidity and that any infusion will have to be carefully considered. Now, Das was speaking with the media after concluding his meeting with MSMEs. He had a 2-hour meeting with MSME associations today. The governor said that the central bank will intervene if there is a liquidity shortage in the system, but he added that the RBI believes that liquidity needs of the economy have been largely met. The governor also spoke about the RBI's dividend to the centre and said the government has not set any specific target for the central bank and that no decision has been taken. But remember, reports suggest that an interim dividend to the tune of between 30 to 40,000 crore rupees is what the government expects from the central bank. Listen in.
While dealing with the issue of liquidity, I would also like to say that this is something which the Reserve Bank is constantly monitoring and will take steps whenever there is a need to deal with the liquidity deficit if it is noticed. At the same time, I must also add that the Reserve Bank would not like a situation where liquidity becomes a kind of a loose money. Any infusion of liquidity will have to be very carefully considered and has to be need-based. So therefore, the caution and care has to be exercised by the Reserve Bank of India so that excess liquidity, which sometimes has certain adverse consequences, that is not created. A lot of correspondence goes on between the government and the Reserve Bank. A lot of discussions do take place. Now, whether there is an individual letter or not, that is not really relevant. But I can tell you that as and when a decision is taken, Reserve Bank will not delay announcing the decision.
Well, that's the RBI governor there saying that liquidity conditions within the country, in the system, are at this point in time have been adequately met, and any further intervention will have to be carefully considered. On to action from the Lal Street, where the market started the week on a strong footing led by positive global cues. So the Nifty saw a gap up opening, reiterated from highs in the last hour, ending below the 10,800 mark. The Sensex ended with gains of 0.5%. Amongst the broader markets, banks rallied about 100 points, while mid-caps bucked the trend, ending flat with a positive bias. On Mint Street, though, the rupee eased to a 6-month high today amidst firm domestic equity markets and a weakening of the US dollar, but it gave up the morning gains, ending at 69.68 versus the greenback. So that's the currency and the equity market action. But we told you first, and it has now been confirmed. HDFC-owned Gruh Finance is now part of the Bandhan family. The Gruh Finance board approved its merger with Bandhan Bank today. Gruh shareholders will get 568 Bandhan Bank shares for every 1,000 shares held. Nisha Podar, who first broke that story on the 21st of December, joins us now with the latest. Nisha, it's a done deal. Take us through the contours.
That's right. It's yet another consolidation in the financial services space. And in Deepak Parekh's words, the consolidation in this sector has just about begun. What we are talking about is the merger of Gruh Finance with the Bandhan Bank, so that the market cap of the combined entity will be over 80,000 crore rupees. The swap ratio as per this transaction is 568 of Bandhan Bank shares for every 1,000 shares of Gruh Finance shares held by the shareholders. Now, this puts the valuation of Gruh Finance at about 20,855 crore rupees. Now, if you look at the construct, what it does as far as the transaction is concerned is that Bandhan Bank promoter shareholding will reduce from over 82% to about 61%. Remember, they still have a long way to go to reach that 40% mark for the promoter shareholding in the bank as per the RBI guidelines, which they have already violated. On the other hand, HDFC Limited, as part of the merger, will land up owning close to about 15% stake in the merged entity, for which they will require RBI's approval, because 5% is naturally done, but over 5% requires an RBI approval up to 10% stake, and above that will require some sort of special permission from the Reserve Bank of India. What HDFC Limited wants is to continue holding that 15% given the RBI approval as a financial investment in this particular company. So these are the two aspects. As far as the synergies are concerned, for Bandhan Bank, it reduces the concentration risk and even expands in geography as well as diversification, and gives it the housing finance business. For Gruh Finance, the access to low-cost funding from a bank is going to be crucial. So yes, a big merger. Effective date is 1st of January. Lots of approvals to really be taken. So this is a large transaction in the works at the moment. But of course, how Bandhan Bank really reduces the stake going forward will be also closely watched.
The synergies between Gruh and Bandhan are much, much greater than the synergies between HDFC and Gruh. We both are concentrated in Western India. We have branches close to each other. and our average loans are coming down because of the government incentives. Earlier there was a gap. Now we are competing with GRU. You cannot compete with a subsidiary of yours where you have 58%. There is conflict of interest. And here we are very weak in Eastern India. Bandhan is very weak in Western India. It's a synergy that helps.
What is also the reasoning behind holding on to 15%, or at least making an attempt in holding on 15%?
When we say it's not a strategic investment, it's a financial investment. When we see an opportunity, we will offload some of it, but we don't want to offload it immediately if we can hold on to it for some time. So we'll have to talk to Reserve Bank and see what their view is.
There is this is in different types of option is there. No, option is to this, offer to sell, and many others on that. So it is not in the one option we are strategically decided on. So that one option we have been now taken, and some other options step by step will be like to go. But to not say that everything will be like to merger, not like that. We are trying to diversify in a different way.
So good you mentioned that, Mr. Ghosh, because merger or any sort of acquisition takes a lot of management time, energy, and integration also takes a lot of time. So will you have the capacity and the appetite to do another acquisition or merger in a short span of time just because you have the RBI guideline to meet?
Now, if you see that this merger happened very short time, no merger. If it is in good things have been come on that, this is not taken more time. If you have the good team, so Bandhan have the good team, which they are very much working in that way. It will be not a very big problem for us.
Well, the government is yet to take a decision on the much-anticipated relief package for the farm sector. CNBC TV 18 learns the government is evaluating about 4 to 5 options, and these include a direct benefit transfer scheme and tweaking the Kisan credit card scheme as well. Parikshit joins us now with more details. Parikshit, what are you picking up? Would it be fair to suggest that the changes to the Kisan credit card scheme are perhaps more a priority at this point in time, given the feasibility?
That's right, and this is what our sources are telling us, that this seems to be the most easy, the most doable and likely option at this stage. The government is telling us that there can be at least 3 to 4 changes to the Kisan credit card loan scheme. This includes increasing collateral-free loans to up to 2 lakh rupees, also converting this into an ATM card, debit card as well, also increasing coverage of the Kisan credit card loan schemes to cover more farmers. Currently, this covers only about 50% of the farmers in the country, and they would like to cover more farmers. Also, bringing livestock farmers under the KCC beneficiary scheme. This is something that Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, Minister of State for Agriculture, had also hinted in an interview to us a few days back. Having said that, apart from KCC, there are at least 3 to 4 measures which are being discussed. Our sources telling us that the Telangana government's Raitu Bandhu scheme, Rajasthan's scheme, and also schemes from Madhya Pradesh, Haryana are being discussed. And the direct benefit transfer of 4,000 rupees per acre per farmer in the country is being discussed, but it has cost implications, and therefore no concrete decision has been taken on that as yet. There would be a package of 4 to 5 measures which would be announced in the days to come, but changes in the KCC, which are being studied in detail, are the most likely options at the moment.
All right, Parikshit, many thanks for joining us with that. Now, the war of words over the Rafale issue refuses to die down. The BJP has now accused the Congress of lobbying for Eurofighter Typhoon, the fighter jet that lost out to Dassau's Rafale. BJP claims the Congress is doing this at the behest of Christian Michel, the alleged middleman in the Augusta Westland case. Meanwhile, Rahul Gandhi continues to seek a JPC probe into the Rafale deal and has accused the BJP of resorting to diversionary tactics.
Mr. Rahul Gandhi, please explain what proximity you and the family have with the middlemen Christian Michel and Guido Hotchkiss.
You have seen publicly HL employees saying that we are being starved, we are being destroyed. Why was it necessary to destroy HL? Give the gift to Anil Ambani. That is the plan.
Well, that's Rahul Gandhi, and Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, in an exclusive interview to CNN News 18, intensified her attack against the Congress president. She said, and I quote, "He doesn't want the facts, he's afraid of the facts." Listen in.
The battle can be defined by you the way you want, but the battle is not less on facts. It's rich with facts. I'm giving all the facts. Arun G. Jaitley is giving the facts. We are talking on facts. But unfortunately, Rahul Gandhi, the leader and the president of the Congress party, doesn't want the facts. He's scared of facts. And this is something which I said in the House also.
Moment there for India. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of What's Up. Thanks very much for watching.